Unfortunately today, as I did previously mention, we are alone in this, so it is just yourselves and I seeing the action unfold. Everyone else will either be driving or seeing it happen later on YouTube, which, hello, if you are watching, then thank you for tuning in, even if it was a little bit later, as we see the first driver making their way out. It is Fario in the Aston Martin who is going to be making their way. We will have a look at gap to leader, tyres, as well as the lap delta. As we see there, the Aston Martin, it's beautiful in that Aston Martin British Racing green. It is a beautiful colour. We have Budgerson just checking his setup, or well, he will be checking his setup, as we have these drivers now going out to set their banker laps around a track like this. A banker is very important. We all know what the curbs can be like, and what the sorry, I was just reading the chat. Thank you for your kind words, Kaya, and hello, Jayton. It's good to see you in chat, even though you're meant to be on track, mate. Come on, I want to see you driving. But yeah, the banker laps, we know what the curbs are like. We know that even if you don't have a good banker lap, you have that second go later in the session. You have as many soft tyres as you realistically want to use, because I doubt we'll be seeing much soft tyre action, although it is a two-stop. But the abrasiveness on this track, the tyre wear, is incredibly high, as we do see here now. Fario making his way around the final couple of corners, getting ready to start his first push lap, and we will go on board with him while he does so, as he sits there, foot to the floor. Now you want to actually keep it a bit tighter going into the start finish straight here, but you want to make your way into 8th gear, braking hard around the 50, not braking, sorry, lifting off around the 50, and then as you're halfway around the curb, heading further to the second right, you're wanting to just lift off the throttle just a bit, as we see here Fario making his way up through the S's, going down to 4th gear, keeping it nice far over to the right, really opening up this next bit as you're starting to enter the second sector here. Now we have the double right, I can never remember the name of here, but if you go a little bit too wide there, you can take a little bit more track there, Fario. If you do go any further over, you can get beached on that outside curb, and that is your run over, as he takes the hairpin, the slowest corner on this track, very nicely, as now we head up to spoon curves. We know what this can be like. If you get this wrong, it can ruin your entire lap, as he does take it quite nicely. He can probably use a little bit more track there, but he now comes down the back straight as we head into the world famous 130R, many people's favourite corners on the entire F1 calendar, real life and in this only 10 race season. Here we are in season 9, as we now come into the chicane, braking nicely, getting the car turned in, keeping it stable as he keeps it far to the right, and it's going to cross the line, and it's a 28.7, quickly taken over, with Fario going a second and a half quicker. We now have some of these boys coming, making their way over the line. We have SRS and SQERT, I'm going to call him Squirt. They're only separating themselves from the leader by about a second. We have now GS Gaming in the Mercedes just stopping on track, not quite sure why. You got my name perfect, and I'm not racing, but thank you, Kia. I'm awful with names, as you'll soon start to realise. I've already stumbled over 2 or 3 of the drivers' names already, and we haven't even started yet. But let's go on board with which driver is this? It's Jenga Boy, the league owner. Let's go on board with him while he finishes off his first flying lap, as we are coming now up to 130R. People saying, oh no, SRS is in the top 5. Pooleee there, putting his car into the top 2, exactly where he wants to be, going into the actual Grand Prix, which we'll have in the not so distant future, as Jenga Boy crosses the line, and it is 5 tenths off of pole. He puts his car into 5th. let's go on board now with let's go on board with Kieran, see what he can do. He is in he's third in the championship, so he is very much still in this. If pooleee does not have a good race, he can take lead going into next week as he goes around 130. You want to keep your foot flat to the floor there, and then you want to brake around 100 meters here for the chicane, cutting the corner nicely, getting a nice bit of traction, a little bit of wheel spin, but not too much as he crosses the line and he puts his car in second, exactly where he wants to be, and it's ahead of his championship rival pooleee. Pooleee wanting to make sure he has a better flying lap in probably the next 10 minutes or so when we see these boys coming out for the final for their final runs. Who do we have who has not done a lap yet, but who is on an out lap? We have Masked Ranger, who is just coming up to Spoon, so it's not too far before he starts the lap. But we see there Bug. I'm going to call you Bug, as we have Bug there in the Alpine having a bit of a lock-up, I believe that was, just before the hairpin. That is going to ruin his time. It's not going to be a very good starting lap for him, but remember, he doesn't have too far off. And if you have a look there, the gap between first and second, the gap between Shoot Fizzle and Kieran is less than even half a tenth of a second. A quarter of a tenth there separates those two drivers. That's the margins that we're having here. Pooleee is just about a tenth off of pole, so he has a bit more time to find if he wants to have a chance at getting that extra pole position point. But we see here Bugs now coming around the final couple of corners, but he's just diving into the pits as we now have Mast setting their first lap. I'm going to quickly have a look. Oh, you see the back end kick out just a little bit there. We have now these drivers coming. We have a Ferrari driver fighting with Shoot Fizzle, trying to get out the pits first. I'm not sure which Ferrari driver that was. Let's actually have a look. No, so it was Silver. Silver just fighting his way, yet to set a lap. But here he is, Michael Gione, coming through now. I believe this is just the first sector he is in. As it stands, yes, it is, as he comes around now. Just finishing the first sector. It's the first sector time of, let's have a look as he crosses the line. It's a 32-1 this round. A 32-1 in the first sector. Not awful, but he does unfortunately invalidate his lap. But Shoot Fizzle there is making his way around now, just coming in to the hairpin before he makes his way up to Spoon. Just trying to make sure he can keep that pole position, because every point is going to count for these drivers, especially the ones at the forefront of this championship. As I've mentioned, Pooleee, Chimp, Kieran, they're all, even Chaldinho. I'm not sure if he's racing today. Let me have a look. Chaldinho. No, it doesn't. So this could mean he could be out of the championship fight, which would be unfortunate for him after having such a good season from what I've seen. But Shoot Fizzle here about to possibly set his second lap of the evening. It is currently 20 to 9 at night here in the UK. If you're worldwide, please do let me know. It would be nice to hear and see where everybody is from. I know we have a couple German boys racing tonight and maybe one Brazilian as well, but as we see here, Shoot Fizzle with about 9 minutes on the clock, coming up to the first couple of corners, starting his lap, wanting to keep it nice and tight. Oh, big spin there, coming out of the second corner, recovers it nicely. Very nice recovery there, but unfortunately for him, that's going to be his lap. Null and void. Not very good to have, as we see him there making his way across the gravel, making sure he stays out the way. Especially during sector 1, it's very hard to keep out the way and rejoin the track in a safe manner. But we have Kieran there possibly making his way out of the pits, but we have Pooleee here coming making his way up to the Spoon curves. What we know is very, very fatal. Sorry, no, making his way up to the hairpin before he makes it up to the Spoon curve. We know, as I was previously just saying, it's very, very, very dangerous. We saw this weekend Ollie Behrman, funny enough, in the Haas, as Pooleee is here. Haas are very much in the championship fight as well. I've just remembered that. So we have both Haas boys here. One of them's yet to set a lap, I believe. No, they both set laps. So we currently have Haas sitting in 3rd and 5th respectively. It's just a matter of if they can convert this to good points. And remember, they want to be outscoring the McLarens, which we have only one today. So it could very much be the case. We have 2 RBs as well, as we see here. Pooleee just about to start his lap now, as foot is flat to the floor as he crosses the line in sector to start the first sector and his flying lap. 7 minutes on the clock. He has enough time for possibly 1 or 2 more runs. We know these boys are going to want every single point they can, especially Pooleee. He's going to want to extend his championship at any point he can, and remember, if he gets pole tonight, he will jump to 9 points before 9-point gap before the race has even started, which isn't a lot considering 25 points are up, 26 points sorry are up for grabs in the actual race. But here he is. It looks like he sets a purple second sector. Very, very good. Exactly what he wants to be doing. Getting the car slowed down nicely, getting nice and tight to the inside curb. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th as Bugger comes through with a 27-0 to put his car on provisional pole position, 2/10 ahead of Shoot Fizzle, who will be starting another lap probably very, very shortly after invalidating his previous lap. But we see here Pooleee, our championship leader, is currently in 4th, setting a purple first, purple second sector. What's he gonna be able to do here in 3rd? Makes his way over the curbs on the chicane. Can he keep it nice and close to the wall? He can, and puts his car on pole. It is a 26-8, putting his car 2/10 quicker than Buggerson. These boys are going to have a field day if they can have close racing like they are just having here. Is Kieran on a lap? No, but it looks like he might be starting one. No, Kieran comes to the pits, probably to change those tyres. Who do we have here on a lap? Kieran is on a lap. I haven't seen the sector times. He is 19 hundredths of a second up on his best lap at the moment. So it's not going to be a huge improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. Can he get incredible traction out of the final corner? The run down to the line puts him in 3rd, overtaking Shoot Thistle. Our current standings are: Pooleee is your your provisional pole sitter, followed by the Alpine of Buggersoren. Kieran in 3rd in that Aston Martin, very much out of the championship fight, but he could still finish higher than what he is. The fight for 2nd is still also on, as much as the fight for 1st. Shoot Thistle there in 4th with SRS in that the solo flying McLaren, the constructors leaders there in 5th. 6th we have the racing bull of Kia, who is in 6th there, about 6, maybe 7, just under 7/10 off of the pole position with Chesney there. He is coming round actually to 130R. Let's watch him finish his lap. Can he have a good final lap here before we head to the final laps of this 18-minute qualifying session? As we see him there making his way, he's going very, very slow around there. I don't know if he's coming into pits. Yes, he is. 8th we have Master Ranger. 9th we have our league owner, as Apalisa unfortunately leaves the session. He will probably come back in very shortly. Yet to set a lap actually, so it's not looking good. He might be starting 17th, as there he goes, Jayton or Yatin, however you say the name, in the Ferrari, sat in 11th place, just making a bit of a mistake and invalidating his push lap. We have the other, there was both McLarens. That is just my poor eyesight. We have Squirt there, about a second, 1.1 seconds off of 1st place. He sat in 12th with the other Ferrari of Silver, 1.2 seconds off pole position, sat in 13th place. We have Michael Giannone. Last name sounds Italian, so I'm not sure how the first name is pronounced. I might be able to catch up with him during the week, and hopefully he can tell me himself, so I know for future weeks and seasons that I'm hopefully here for Farlow there in 15th, after being the first man to actually set a lap time today, as he actually comes around the final couple of corners, throwing the car over the curbs there as he finishes the lap, and he's going to move his Aston Martin nowhere. He is in 5th, as we see there, SRS up into 6th with Eddie Epic in the Williams sat in 16th, about 10 seconds off, so he didn't have a very good lap. And then we have Apalisa, who is yet to set a lap time. Do we have them making their way anywhere? No. Do we have anybody who's in the championship fight on a lap? It looks like we have Shoot Fizzle, who will be setting their final lap time, coming in to the last 2 minutes of the session. Got to make your way around the track first. Keep all the battery, keep as low fuel as you can, but enough to make it around the lap and back into the pits. Afterwards, can he put his car any higher than 4th place, as he was on provisional pole position for some time, but it has been overtaken now by our championship leader, Pooleee, with 2 minutes on the clock. Still in the pits, not sure if he's going to be making his way out. It looks like a big pack of drivers. Oh yeah, Poolee's coming out now, so he will make his way around the track one last time for us before we head into the 27 laps of racing, as Jayton retires the car in the pits, not thinking they're going to improve anymore. Sat there in 11th place, 2/10 off of Squirt there, hoping they can keep that 11th place, be the best of the outside, well, the best of the rest in theory, because the best, I would argue, is always in the top 10, as remember, that is where you can score the points today, whether that is via a pole position, as we see Farlow there also retiring from the session. Do we have anyone else about to start a flying lap? I'm not sure, but we do have Squirt actually on one, as he does a purple first sector, sorry. So that is going to be very, very good for his lap. I will go on board with Pooleee as soon as he starts, because that is where we want to see the fight for pole position, the fight at the front of this grid, the fight to get that one extra point for both yourself as a driver on your championship chart, as well as your team, and especially as Haas are still in this championship fight. Everyone, put your predictions down now in the chat if you're still here, for who you think will put their car on pole position for this, as we see here now. Squirt just making his way around the final couple of corners. Currently in 6th. Can he improve any more as he comes around the final corner? Can he do anything? No. Keeps the car in 6th place, but let's go on board now with our championship leader and our current provisional pole sitter in Pooleee. He is making his way now just up through the S's now for the next double right-hander, which is very easy to get wrong. You can lose a lot of time through here as he attacks the curb so nicely, taking all the curb on exit as well. Exactly what you want to do. Just dip your tyre just about over as he comes into the hairpin now. As we are halfway through now the second sector in the lap, pretty much. Can he keep this provisional pole position? Bugger Soren is going to want to take it, and so is Kieran. These boys very much are quick, as we have seen throughout the times. We have 2 minutes left, and this is overtime now, so this will be every driver's final laps as Shoot Fizzle puts his car in second. That's as best as they can get. Apalisa finally gets back into the lobby, which is very nice to see, but unfortunately won't have any time to set a lap. They will be starting in 17th place as Pooleee goes deep and unfortunately ruins his lap time. What can Bugger Soren do in this Alpine as he crosses the line? Is it quick enough to put it on pole? No, it's not, as it looks like we have Pooleee being our pole sitter, maybe furthering their lead into the championship fight. But we do have Kia here in the Racing Bulls moving their car into 4th place. The thunderous lap there, 3/10 off of the championship leader in Pooleee. It looks like this is going to be one of, if not the final standings here going into the race. We have 1 or 2 more drivers looking. Oh no, SRS isn't doing any more laps. No, so this is our standings going into the race. Pooleee, your championship leader, takes pole position, furthering his points to 2nd place. Chimp by now 9 points. Shoot Fizzle just missing out by a 1/10 and 3/4 there in the Kies Sauber, finishing off the front row. Second row being an Alpine and RB, who the latter is still in the fight. And those drivers are Bugasoran and Kia, respectively. Kia there in 5th place, the place where he's also in the championship standings. The Williams of Masked Ranger in 6th, about half a second off of pole. SRS in the McLaren, one of the drivers helping his team fly the flag, ready to finish off the season with a constructors title to their name in 7th. And I will come back to you with the final drivers in just a moment to finish off the top 10. But it was a very good lap there by pooleee. The top 10 are finished off with, in 8th we have Michael Giannone with the Italian flag, I was right. Then we have Chesney in 9th in the Haas, obviously poolee's teammate. He's going to want to make his way up the grid before the end of the race to help his team push a bit closer to the Ferrari and McLaren drivers. And then finishing off the top 10 we have Kies Gaming in the Mercedes, with Jenga Boy just missing out by, what's that, about a tenth of a second? Just under a tenth of a second. So that's our standings going into the race. We have 27 laps of racing, remember. 2 stops. Hopefully it's dry. Sorry to need some water. But obviously if it is wet, it can shake up strategies just a bit. As we know, it is a mandatory 2-stop. And we know the wet and the intermediate tyres can make it to the end of the race if you are good on tyre savings. But these drivers can go full out here, as it is a 2-stop and only 27 laps. So you will have plenty of wear left coming into the pits, so we could see some very aggressive strategies going, some very aggressive driving, which is what we want to see. Aggressive but fair. If these boys can keep it fair, this is going to be an incredible race to almost finish off the season before obviously next week, where we head to Sao Paulo. Just waiting for the drivers now to get ready for the race. But if you care to join me in making predictions, what's your predictions for this race? What's your predictions for the standings come the end of next week as well? Who do you think's gonna be on the podium today? Maybe anything I need to know about some of these drivers that I'm not too aware of yet, as obviously it's my first time yet to really see any footage of these boys. Only the minute I've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours. But it can be a very interesting start and end to this race, especially when the drivers are all packed up for the first couple of laps. As Chesney leaves the session, a couple drivers seeming to have some issues tonight with remaining in the lobby. Oh Christ, my throat's already hurting. I've gone through half a litre of water in the last 40 minutes. But yeah, hey, it's all for the cause, right? It's all for the cause. As we go to the 5 red lights now. And it is lights out and away we go. And it looks like pooleee has a bit of wheel spin there. Can these drivers keep it nice and clean? It looks like he does keep the lead. There's some chopping and changing in the background. It looks like it's all clean so far, as we have a couple of drivers actually at the back of the grid going for a bit of a spin. Squirt being one of them there. It's an awful start for him, as we already see pooleee there making his way through sector 1, getting a bit of a gap, about half a second already to I Shoot Fizzle. Can he pull the gap any closer and provide a bit of a challenge for our championship leader, as we now come through, as we see an Aston Martin there, and it's the Aston Martin of Bugson, after having an incredible qualifying, bogging their way down, the grid, as we see a move go up the inside there. At the hairpin, it looks like everyone's come away from that unscathed, though we do see these boys starting to form their little bit of packs now. It looks like pooleee is an early favourite to just pull away with this one, a bit like what the Mercedes boys are doing in real life after the first couple of laps. But it is the Haas's turn in the virtual world here at House of Racing to lead the way in the race anyway for their individual drivers. Where's his teammate at the moment? His teammate is... Where's the other Haas driver? I'm blind if I can't see this. 12th. There we go, pooleee there, as we see. Let's have a look at what the possible strategies are. Tyres, we have pooleee, SRS. So yeah, we have a fairly nice split. Obviously, we have two drivers pitting purely maybe for a bit of early damage. Can we see this fight for the top two come into play? Both of them are on soft tyres. They would realistically want to be working together to keep with pooleee, who seems to be pulling away on the harder compounded tyres. Obviously, pooleee is there on the medium tyres. There's a bit of floor debris flying there from one of the drivers. I believe that was the Williams, but here we are now at the hairpin as Appalachia makes their way out of the pits. Obviously, mandatory 2-stop. So these drivers, well, we have everyone from 5th down to 17th, sorry. But there we go. These strategies for today: a medium, medium, soft, or a hard, soft, medium. Remember, it is a mandatory 2-stop, so you can't just do a hard medium, which is what I would have recommended, especially in a 50% race. But we see here Kieran now on the back of Shoot Fizzle. Can he get close enough going into the final chicane to make a move up the inside? He doesn't even have a look, keeping it smart, not wanting to get damage early on and ruin their chance of a podium. They want every point they can. Remember, they are in the fight for the for even second place, as we see there the change in position as Kieran makes their way up into second. Shoot Fizzle not fighting it too much, possibly wanting to play the long game, as we see these drivers just harvesting their battery, making sure they have enough on the straights. Remember, we have two straights. We have the start-finish straight leading into turn 1, and then we have the straight leading into 130R as Buggerson retires from the session, speeding into the pit lane after having an awful start to the race. Unfortunately for them, bogging down after that. That I believe it was a lock-up into the double right-hander. But here we are then. Kieran, Shoot Fizzle are roughly the same gap behind each other than what they are to pooleee. So it looks like these boys are starting to pull away from each other now, as half a second separates third and fourth. Is there anyone close enough for a battle? Yes, there is. Down here in 9th place, the battle for 8th between the Ferrari of Silver and the Red Bull of Jenga Boys. Had a good start after having not a great qualifying, not as good as a qualifying as possibly he was hoping for, but he is moving his way up the grid now. He's currently sat in 8th place, a second now separating third and second. So let's just have a look at this fight down here for now. Can these drivers get any closer and provide us some overtakes, as we are stuck in a big DRS train now at the moment? It's not what we want, but can these drivers make any moves of it, as we see there the flap closing from the Ferrari going into the braking zone? As we see there the red light just flashing, as Kieran is actually getting somewhat closer now. Let's go back on with him as he tries to hunt down the championship leader. He is 6/10 off. Can he get any closer? I'm not sure just yet, but we could be seeing over the next couple of laps this fight for the race lead getting very interesting. Obviously, Kieran on the softer compound of tyres, as we see there. A bit of a battle coming into the hairpin, as they're still side by side. It's SRS and Kia. Can Kia make the move stick? Not yet. These boys are still side by side, as it looks like coming into Spoon. They managed to settle into their positions. Kia making the move stick and moving his racing balls up into 5th place, exactly where he wants to be, getting as many points as he can for his team, for their championship push. As we see here, Kieran, getting very close to the back now of pooleee. Can he make a move going into turn 1? Let's go for a proper onboard, as we see him there just revving out the car in 8th gear as pooleee goes to the inside. Can he make a nice swooping move around the outside? Yes, he can, and that is a new race leader for the first time this race, actually. Kieran making a move, but we see this battle for 3rd place, as we see actually there Kia making a bit of a mistake on the exit of the corner. but these boys are providing us some lovely racing in the opening laps of the race. 5 laps in now, and plenty more to come. Another 22 laps of racing we will have here today. Can Kia make a move there to get back into the top 5, going into the hairpin? We see him there. Does he have a bit of a look up the inside? No, he doesn't, not just yet. These boys keeping it nice and respectful, knowing the racing rules, being here for a while, as some of them have, as we mentioned earlier. Pooleee being a previous championship winner, Jenga Boy being a previous championship winner as well in season 9. We have boys who know exactly how to race, how to make the moves, how to make the moves stick as well, as we see there though. Master Ranger going a little bit wide on exit, but we have a nice little train here. Can this fight provide us any entertainment as we go through 130R? Going into the chicane, can anyone make a move? No, they cannot, but remember, DRS will be opening. Battery is to be played with, as Fario does have a penalty, as it looks like Shoot Fizzle is making an early pit stop on those soft tyres, possibly going to either, well, will be going to either the hard or the medium compounds. As I said earlier, the track is very abrasive here. Tyre wear is going to be quite high for these drivers, especially on the softer compounds of tyres. I'd recommend doing maybe a medium soft hard or a medium soft medium. I'm not sure if it was they had to use all 3 tyre compounds. That I wasn't told. All I was told, it is a mandatory 2-stop. That I don't know about you, but the cars revving out really irritates my ears. So let's move away from that, as we have a yellow flag actually in sector 1, as Fario's retiring. It looks like he's retiring off on track, sorry, so I'm not sure what's happened there, but it looks like we have lost 2 drivers in the opening 6 laps. That is unfortunate to see. Still 15 running though, so plenty of drivers out on track and plenty of time for us to see some action between these drivers. As we see now, this fight for 3rd place is getting closer. Half a second separating 4th and 3rd. And that time is just coming down and down and down and down, as we now head down the straight now to 130R, as we actually see there SRS making the move. Can he make it stick going into the chicane? Yes, he can. Unfortunately, we didn't have a good camera angle for that. Should have gone on board for that one. I know that for the next laps when we see moves possibly going through there. But can these boys now work together and make their way up about 4 seconds to Pooleee in 2nd place, as we see there a change in position, but there's a bit of overspeed there for Kia. Can he make a move? No, he can't. It looks like he was going to make a late send down the inside, as we see there Silver moving their way down into 9th place, being replaced by Squirt in the McLaren. The McLaren boys wanting to further push their championship fight ahead of everyone else, obviously leading the championship by only 4 points. The Ferrari boys are just behind, 4 points separating those two. Can they make any moves? It doesn't look like they're going to have a very strong week today, sitting in 7th and 11th respectively. But this fight now for 1st, as we head to the hairpin, can these drivers get any closer? Can Pooleee make a move, going possibly down into 130R as we come into now Spoon? Hopefully he doesn't do an Ollie Behrman. It looks like he's good for now, as they make their way around Spoon. Very difficult part of the section, very technical. You need to know exactly your turning in points and where to place your car, otherwise you're just going to be spun around by the curves, as the case is around the entirety of the track as we go into 130R now. Can Pooleee make a move going into the chicane? He takes the outside line, a bit of a lock up there by Kieran. Kieran going a little bit deep, but getting a nice switchback, but having a loss of traction, as we see there Pooleee making their way, diving into the pits for an early pit stop, trying to possibly get an undercut on Kieran to have a lovely bit of time. Remember, Kieran is on older soft, whereas Pooleee, wherever he's come out now, let's have a look. It's only come out in 3rd. We're coming out in 3rd by the looks of things. So we have a lot of drivers. So around lap 8 is lap 9, 8 to 10, I'm guessing, is the inaugural pit stop period for these drivers. But now we have a bit of a gap building. Pooleee 16 seconds off of 2nd place. Kieran being 20-second difference between those two boys there. Obviously, if Kieran does pit now, he will come out behind pooleee. As I mentioned before we got underway in qualifying, there is a 23-second time loss in the pits. That's providing you have a good pit stop. If you have an awful turn in, we all know that time can be possibly upped by a further 2.5 seconds, which is not what these boys will want to be doing. But we see here iShootFizzle making his way, getting a little bit closer on older hard, so his hard tyres are more warmed up. Can he make the most of it? As it looks like there he has a bit of an awful hairpin, but can he, sorry, spoon, but can he have a nice run out of 130R into the final chicane and then into oh, sorry to interrupt myself. Don't know why I'm apologising, but it looked like the Red Bull was going to have a bit of fun against the Ferrari driver of silver, but not quite yet, as we see Kieran dive his way into the pits. Where is he going to come out? Is he going to come out in third? Yes, he does come out in third place, as he actually loses about a second to pooleee, which is exactly what pooleee wanted. He's on warmed up hard tyres, well, warmer hard tyres. I'm not quite sure how warm. That's dependent on his tyre pressures and how he did with warming them up on his outlap, as we see Apalisa unfortunately adding to the 3 drivers now who have retired from this race. 14 remaining, still plenty to play for, as we see a big pack there. But this fight for what is in theory the race lead, as Kia, I believe, is yet to pit. Let's have a look. Yes, so Kies the only driver yet to pit, so it does look like he will be coming in possibly quite shortly on those hard tyres, maybe for a set of mediums and then a set of softs a bit later on, or maybe a double soft tyre and just stretches his hards out for a bit longer. As we see there, Kieran coming up to 130R just behind pooleee. Can he make a move into there? No, he can't. What about the chicane? No, he's still a bit too far back. But it looks like these drivers will possibly switch positions coming down the start-finish straight, coming out of turn 18, as we see Mask Ranger getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, as pooleee goes defensive, shows Kieran the outside line. Can Kieran make it stick? Yes, he can. And that is the inherited race lead now for Kieran, as he takes it away from pooleee. There we go. I'm not sure what happened there. My controller just got stuck. But as we see now, these boys, the race is starting to settle down a bit, but not settle down in the sense of it's getting boring, but settle down in the sense of we can see the packs forming. We know where drivers are realistically going to be finished and who's fighting for where. But these boys all know what is up for stakes. Both championships still wide open and for the taking for any of the drivers involved and for any of the constructors involved, including our 5th place of Aston Martin, who unfortunately have had a retirement today. Do they have any other runners? Yes, Kieran is the only Aston Martin flying solo. It's not exactly what they want to be doing, is having one driver, especially with both Haas drivers, both Racing Bulls, both McLarens, both Ferraris. All the teams that are ahead of them have 2 drivers racing today, so they will have double the chance of double the points. Can they do that though? Can they capitalise on that, as we see one of the Constructors' Championship rivals of Kia in the Racing Bulls coming to the pit? Where will he come out? I'm guessing that he will come out in around 4th, maybe 5th. Unfortunately for him, it's not been a very good stint. Kieran setting a purple sector. It's a 29.8 is the new time to beat, as pooleee there is only 6/10 behind and closing, having a lot more overspeed coming through that double right-hander to start off the lap. Can he make anything on this lap, as he does seem like he loses a little bit of time through sector 1, maybe not as confident throwing the car through the S's. But remember as well, Kieran is on a softer compounded tyre. He's on one softer than what pooleee is, obviously being on mediums and hards respectively after the first pit stop phase. As we see there, actually iShootFizzle just in the background, 3.8 off of pooleee, but he's still in the picture. It's still all to play for. we have around 16 laps of racing left, and within those 16 laps we have one more pit stop, remember, which can shake up the order, or it can kind of just cement what we are already seeing with the order now being with how it could finish. But that will have to be told by time to come. But here we are coming now down into 130R. Pooleee and Kieran themselves making their way through there before starting lap 12. Just finishing lap 11 now. Can these boys make any inroads on each other? Obviously, Kieran wanting to pull away, as he does actually on that by a couple of tenths. And Pooleee there has the RS still. It's exactly what he wants, but remember, he lost about 5 tenths through Sector 1 the last lap. Can he keep the sector time better this time round, as it looks like he's already broken a second Kieran? We could start seeing Kieran pulling away. Can Pooleee make any inroads, and can HOUSEOFRACING provide a challenge for the boys ahead? But it looks like before that happens, he's going to have a challenging Williams on his back, as we see the Williams of Master Ranger, obviously on a 3-second time penalty, but making his way about a second back, and that time is just coming down. But we will just have to wait and see here as we see them come around the hairpin. Obviously, as I mentioned a couple of laps ago, the slowest corner on the calendar, oh, not on the calendar, sorry, on the track. Obviously, it's nowhere near the slowest corner on the calendar, as that is the Monaco hairpin. But I don't think we race Monaco this season. I'll have to check the calendar on that. But we see a bit of action here unfolding, which is exactly what we want to see. Master Ranger, he is just gaining and gaining. Can he gain enough before the start finish straight to make sure he keeps in DRS? He's definitely going to be within DRS coming on to their lap 13. But can he make a move going into the first couple of corners? It looks like he is just gain time throughout this lap. Can he make any inroads, as we see there the McLaren and the Racing Bulls in the background? Kieran making the move. Can he make the move stick? Yes, he can, as that is very much what he would be wanting. But seeing the drivers now come through the S section, can they make any inroads? Obviously, it's very hard to make overtakes through the S section, so just save your battery, save all your energy, and pump it through Sector 3 and the start of Sector 1. Coming into the, obviously, the start-finish straight and the first couple of corners, there is a very good place to overtake. One of the better ones on the track. You have around 2 or 3, maybe 4 overtaking spots. Obviously, you have 130R, which can be done. We've seen it before, as we saw a number of years ago when Alonso was in the Renault making that move. Obviously, back when it was flat. Obviously, it's still flat now, but we may be moving away from that come the new seasons, when we head over to F1 26 and 27. Obviously, with the new F1 regulations, make it a lot harder and a lot more technical for these drivers. They've got to worry about a lot more over the course of a lap. But here we see Master Ranger about the same distance as he was before the start of the last lap, but maybe a little bit closer. Can he make a move? As it looks like he is gaining, but not enough, not quite close enough to HOUSEOFRACING to make a move there. But they have allowed the Racing Bulls of Kia and SRS in the McLaren to join the fray. The fight for third now is a 4-car battle, and it is going to be spiced up, because it is all very, very close between the 4 drivers. Only a couple car lengths separating each other. But can anyone make a move on this lap? I'm not sure if they can just yet. Just saving the battery, as you can see, relying on pure pace and tyre compound to try and just gain as much time on the driver ahead. As we see there, actually, the Williams losing a little bit of time to the Racing Bulls, who had a much better run through the hairpin, as we come around Spoon now. But the action is still fully in everyone's hands, and it's still providing us the level of entertainment we want to be seeing every week. But I'm going to take a drink because I'm losing my voice. But as we come through the chicane now to start lap 15 for these drivers, lap 15's already been started, remember, by pooleee and Kieran, who are separated by about 2 seconds now, coming on to 2 seconds. But can we see a 3 wide? No, we can't, but we do see a 2 wide there, as it looks like Mask does pull out of that one. He keeps his nose in a little bit, but not enough to be warranted the space, which actually provides Kia to be able to get right on that rear wing of Master Ranger. But can he make a move? He's obviously having to look in his mirrors as well, because of SRS in the McLaren is still in the picture, just biding his time, waiting for these drivers to make a mistake, which is exactly what he wants and needs to be doing. Wait for these boys to make a mistake and then pounce on it. But it looks like it's going to take a bit of time for that to happen, as we see then Master Ranger having a bit of a snap coming out of the hairpin, possibly getting on the throttle a little bit too early. But can these drivers go side by side through Spoon? It looks like they're going to. No, it looks like Master Ranger is going to pull out of that one, as he goes a little bit wide, gets caught on the outside curb on Spoon, and it does kind of throw his car, not allow him to turn in, which is not what he wants. But as we now head down to 130R, are these drivers close enough to make anything? Sorry, not quite yet, but they will have plenty of time on this start-finish straight. It's a fairly short straight, but it's enough time. But we see their Master Ranger coming into the pits, as we also see pooleee do the same, possibly going for another undercut. Obviously, he got a massive undercut on Kieran, pulling out a gap on the undercut by about a second, I believe it was, which Kieran did pull in. It looks like Kieran is having a much stronger race than what pooleee is, but pooleee isn't having a bad race by any means. If he was having a bad race, he wouldn't be up there fighting for the race win and the race lead, obviously, as we are still just coming to about halfway through, just over halfway through now. And we still have the fight for third being still well within the picture, and actually the fight for second now. I Shoot Fizzle will be under attack by 2 drivers, the drivers of Kia and SRS. Both of them are within a good amount of time to make a move on I Shoot Fizzle, coming down into 130R and coming down the start-finish straight. But can they get the runs and can they make the moves? That is something they're going to have to show us now over the next couple of tens of seconds, over the next couple of dozen seconds. And we will see, as there is a yellow flag in Sector 2 at the very end, and I believe that is just the Williams. They're having a bit of an issue. No, who is it? No, it's Eddie, as Kieran does make the move. Unfortunately, I didn't see it. No, it looks like Shoot Fizzle's just coming to the pit, so of a couple other drivers, which is alright. But we have now a fight brewing for what is the race lead, I believe. I think Kieran has pit. Nope. Kieran's ghosted. I don't know what's happened there, but it's just allowed Kia to make their way into the current race lead. But obviously that won't be the case as of when he does pit, because let's just have a look. Yeah, no, he's only had 1 stop, so the driver's yet to pit. Kia, Kieran, Yaton, Squirt as well in the top. That's the top 6 who are yet to pit, and that is everyone, as we have another retirement in the pits from Eddie. At least it happened in the pits. But do we have any battles up and down the grid? Yes, we do. The battle for 8th place and, well, 7th and 8th place are still fully on. It's a 3-way battle here, possibly even a 4-way. Can Michael make a move? Not quite just yet. Maybe having a bit of a look, but not quite getting the run that he wants. But as we come through now, Spoon Masked Ranger is right on the back of Squirt. Squirt obviously yet to pit, possibly pitting this lap. They don't want to fight him too much because it will only cost them more time, which they cannot afford to cost. Remember, everyone behind them has now pit. Is Chimp Silver? I don't know, mate. I'm guessing no because I wasn't told, but it may have been the case. As I see a bit of damage there from somebody flying, but I didn't quite see who it was. Maybe I'll try and have a look later as we see Michael storming up the inside, not quite making the move, but just letting Masked Ranger know he's there. But can he make a move coming over the next couple of laps? We have Appalisa, who's a bit of a K1 fan. Unfortunately for K1, he won't be in the race lead for much longer. Obviously, he's still yet to pit. He's got one more pit stop to go, but he is still actually on for a decent race. He's had a couple decent runs, as we see there. The Red Bull of Jenga Boy, however you're meant to say it, not having a very good run through the double right-hander there, losing a lot of time, as we have K1's teammate in the chat. Oh, Appalisa, okay, I didn't see the original name. What happened, mate? Why did you retire? Unfortunately for him, that I am, but it wasn't my fault today. I'll take your word for it, man. I saw you was having some actual issues with the lobby, as K1 is in the pits there, so pooleee will take the race lead. And it was actually a very good undercut. Kieran lost a lot of time stopping when he did, but we have pooleee here now, and he is comfortably in the lead by about, as we see iShootFizzle's time change there, about 6 seconds in the lead, with just under 10 laps of racing to go. As upshift issues, yes, we've all had them before, my friend. We've all had them before. It's not fun, but hopefully next week you can have a bit of luck and help your Racing Bulls team maybe push a little bit further up in the constructors standings. But is there any fights going on at the back of the grid, further back? Yes, there is. The fight for fourth by SRS and Kieran. Kieran was obviously very much up there in the earlier parts of the race, had an awful second pit stop phase, possibly went a bit too long, maybe went a bit too early, as I'm not quite sure when he pit, but didn't quite have the effect on the track that he would have wanted. But he makes the move around the outside, quite comfortably getting that fourth position now, as he now has a bit of a gap ahead of him. 1.3 separates him and Kia finishing off that podium spot ahead of both McLarens, which is exactly what he wants. And there is only one McLaren scoring point as it stands. Squirt having an awful start to the race, unfortunately for him, but it's very good for the Racing Bulls. So it looks like Appalisa, you've been let off with a big one here, but there is still plenty of time. 7 laps remaining for Squirt to just make up 3 positions. If he makes up 3 positions, that will be him done and into the points. Can Michael and Masked Ranger make moves? Yes, it looks like they did, going into the first couple of corners, as it also actually looks like the Ferrari boys are getting very, very close together. Now, can we see some fighting between them? Let's go on with Squirt for now, as it looks like he is gaining actually quite a bit. Actually lost a lot of time to Kieran, sorry, not gaining, lost a lot of time to Kieran over the course of the last lap or so, when Kieran got the overtake done about a lap ago now, actually, just coming into the hairpin, I believe it was. But the race is starting to properly settle down now. The only fight we really have is the Ferrari boys fighting for 8th and 9th place respectively. Can they keep it clean with each other? Because obviously the first rule of racing is you don't crash your teammate. If you crash into your teammates, which we've seen plenty of times happen before, it's not very good and will cause some issues. But here we are now, the boys making their way just out of Spoon Curb. It actually looks like Yaten has a good run, but not a good enough run to make a move just yet. He's only 2 tenths off. Can he make a move up the inside at the chicane? No, he can't. Not quite close enough there to make a dive, as Kia setting the fastest lap with a 29.6. I believe that's actually 2 tenths quicker than what the previous fastest lap was. That extra point going to help them in the constructors fights. Those Racing Bulls currently sat in 4th place, about 8 points off of 3rd and Haas, which isn't going to be done today because pooleee is having a very good race there, showing why he's leading the championship and possibly going to be bringing home the race win today, which will cement him as one of the firm favourite going into Brazil in a week's time to win the championship, which he will win there if he outscores everyone. Well, no, not even everyone. He can just outscore a couple people, and he will be your Season 11 Tier 1 champion. This is the best of the best of racing we will see here in HOR. So getting very scared there, as it looks like we have a bit of an issue at the back of the grid here between Squirt and Blast Gaming. But it looks like they've managed to sort themselves out now. The fight for 3rd and 2nd is still very much all to play for. I shoot Fizzle in 2nd there, only separating him and 3rd place Kia is about 8 tenths of a second. Can Kia make a move in the coming laps? I'm not quite sure if he can just yet, but here we are coming down now into the start of lap 22. Can these boys get close enough to each other to make a move? Not just yet. It looks like they're going to have to wait for a couple of sectors to make a move. Obviously sector 1 and 2 not the easiest to make moves, but there is much easier in sector 2 than it is sector 1, so we will just have to wait and see as we come round now into the double right hander, what is known for throwing drivers, as we saw earlier today. Jenga Boy having a bit of an issue going into the gravel, as we can see a couple actual tyre tracks there from the drivers earlier today, with then the gravel being brought on track. That's going to make the track a bit slippery, as we see there. Unfortunately, Kia making a bit of a mistake. They're having a bit of a lock-up, which is not what you're going to want, but it doesn't matter too bad at the hairpin because it takes you a bit wider. You can have a nice run coming out of it, but it's a little bit slower, I seem to find. But here we are now, heading out of Spoon and down towards 130R. Can the boys make any inroads on each other? Can I Shoot Fizzle close the gap? It doesn't look like he can, but Kia definitely lost time through there, possibly letting off the throttle, maybe try full throttling it, but DRS will be open. Only 6 tenths are separating him and Shoe Fizzle now. Can he make a move going into turn 1? He's going to want to burn that battery. Burn it, baby, burn it. Not getting close enough on this time round, but actually having a very good run there through the first couple of corners against his rival for 2nd place. The fight for 3rd and 2nd is still very much on. It looks like though pooleee has just pulled away from these boys, having a very good race, but we will come back onto him in a couple of laps time when we are watching him come around the track for the final time and finishing off his race and furthering his championship points, as it looks like he's going to do, as we see Eddie Epic just leaving the session there, obviously after retiring a couple of laps ago. But here we are, Kieran very much on the back of Shoe Fizzle. Can he make a move going into Spoon? No, not quite just yet, but can he actually make a move coming down this straight? He is closer than he has been in some time. Can he burn the battery before getting into 130R? No, he's going to save the battery. 4 tenths separating them. Can he make a move coming into the later parts of this lap and the start of next lap? Lap 24, that will be that we are going on to. Can he make any moves? It's not done just yet, as he has a snap of oversteer there, just coming out of the final corner. That has lost him a lot of time and actually provided Kieran with a nice run to close the gap just a little bit. Still 1.2 back, 1.3 back, and that gap does actually seem to be just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the laps go by. It looks like Kieran is going to have to settle for 4th place here today, but it was a valiant effort from the Aston Martin driver. Obviously they are sat down in 5th place in the Constructors' Championship, 52 points separating them and McLaren. It doesn't look like they're going to mount much of a championship fight from here on out. But the drivers that are still fighting for it, Kieran is one of them, that he can get up there. He is in third place, 22 points. So actually, he is still well within the championship fight, I think, even after today. Maybe not, actually. My maths might be off. We'll see. I'll have to do the maths afterwards. Because the action is going on and it is spicing up here. Kia trying to just hold a gap between... True Fizzle trying to hold a gap. Kia trying to close that gap. He seems to be faster during certain points of the track, but over the course of a whole lap, it looks like True Fizzle is putting in possibly better times, but it looks like actually Kia's gonna have a bit of a look, not quite making a committed move yet in that beautiful V-carb. I love the V-carb liveries that they come out with, but he is closer than ever. And is he going to make a move going into the first couple of corners? Yes, he is. He's showing the outside line as these boys go side by side, and they are wheel to wheel. You cannot give each other more of an inch if you tried. But here we are, even through sector 1, they are still giving us some lovely clean racing, as it does look like Shoe Fizzle keeps his second place after a lovely bit of side-by-side for a couple of corners there. That is some beautiful racing, the best racing we have seen today. And we've seen a lot of decent moves and defends going on here today so far. 25 out of lap 27. Only a couple laps remaining. It looks like just this fight is allowing Pooleee just to pull away even more. He's pulled about a second since we last spoke about him. 6.8 seconds now separate him from Shoe Fizzle. It looks like the fight for third is actually going to be spicing up maybe shortly, as it looks like this the fighting between the second and third drivers has allowed Kieran to make his way into the picture, so he could even fight for second if he is given the chance, as we come on to lap 26 now. Well, very shortly, over the next couple of corners. We've got 3 more corners left for these boys to make a move, as there's actually a bit of a lock up there by Shoe Fizzle, only a slight one, as you saw a bit of tyre smoke there, as it looks like actually Kia's had another bit of oversteer. He's not having a lot of love coming out of the final couple of corners there to start their lap, but can he make a move here? Not yet. It looks like he goes to have a little bit of a look, and yes, I agree with you, Appalisa. Pooleee has had a fantastic race, very much deserved. Put it on pole. Already going into this, he extended his points to 9. So before even finishing the race, and he's just going to extend it even further. I'm not sure who is Chimp and if Chimp's racing. I'm gonna have to speak to the Discord a bit later. Just to try and figure that out, but the fight here is still juicy as we come into the hairpin. The driver's getting it slowed down nicely. Who can have the better run? It looks like the better run is going to go to Kia. Can he make a move going into Spoon? He is gaining and gaining, not quite close enough though, as we see him make his way around Spoon. Now it's just allowed Kieran onto the back. Now he is well within the picture. Can these boys, as we head towards the final lap, make any moves and cement their place on the podium? These boys are all going to want to get that podium spot, but here we are now, just starting the final corner. We will go on to Pooleee later in the lap, but this fight for third and second is still so interesting and so juicy. Can these drivers make any inroads on each other? It actually looks like Kieran is going to make a move here, as there's 2 moves there. That's not allowed by Kia. They're very much fighting for this third place, but possibly doing some illegal moves. Chimp is silver. Okay, thank you very much. Silver is Silver's retired, no? Silver. Oh, Silver's in 9th. Okay, there we go. Chimp is silver, sweet. Yeah, but Kia there, maybe not having the cleanest of defence, but that's not for me to say. I'm just a commentator. I have nothing to do with the stewarding process here in this league. I would love to, if I'm offered the spot, I'd love to help out if possible. Cough, cough. Jenga boy, give your boy a shot. But if I'm not, I'd love to just sit here and commentate on this racing. As we see there, a bit of a look by Kia going into Spoon, not quite making the move though, as Schufizzle placing his car nicely, but into 130R. Now, can these drivers make any inroads on each other? No, not yet, as it looks like Kieran is actually going to have a look, and I want to go on board as he makes a move down the inside, and there's contact. There is contact. Kieran has spun around Kia. That is not good, but your race winner is Pooleee, as something we have known all along. An incredible drive from the Haas driver, just furthering his points in the championship, and it was a great end to the race for him. Just completely ran away with it after the second pit stop phase, but the biggest talking point there is that late send from Kieran, possibly not given the space by Kia. I couldn't quite see due to the camera angle that was given, but unfortunately for them, it does cost Kia the podium that he so deserved, man. He had such a good race, and he's going to be absolutely gutted with that one, but it is fifth for him. It's still the top 5, and we will give you a quick rundown of the finishing race position. Appalachian not having an enjoyment of that final move, as we see the drivers now come to collect their podium trophies there. 2 Scots and a Brit. It's a British-Scottish sandwich. But it is a Haas driver, and it is the Haas driver that he wants it to be. It is Pooleee there, just furthering his championship fight. Not quite winning the championship just yet, but next week is where it is all to play for, as we see these boys now just shaking the champagne over each other, getting each other absolutely drenched in it. In Japan, the legal age is 20 to drink, so some of them cannot just drink yet. If we was actually over there, but lucky for them we're not. But let's have a quick rundown of the top 10. So your race winner was Pooleee, followed by Schufizzle and Kieran finishing off the podium. SRS in the McLaren in 4th, with Kia taking 5th and the fastest lap, so that's an extra point for him. 6th being the Mercedes of Michael. Silver there in 7th, followed by his Ferrari teammate of Jayton. And I didn't quite finish off the top 10. Let me just look at the stream, see if the stream has saved it. 9th is Master Ranger of the Williams. And then Jenga Boy, the league owner, has just finished off the racing, the top 10 and the points paying positions. But let's head back on to the let's give you an actual look. Here we go. Let's see if this will actually look. But after an incredible Japanese Grand Prix, the championships, both of them are still wide open. We need to remember this. It's not over just yet, but it's been a very entertaining race. We will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you who watch later on the YouTube, just show up. Just show up for the live. Come chat with me, or whoever's commentating the race next week. But we will see you in Brazil for the final race and the championship decider for both of the drivers and constructors. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.